hands off to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then throws it into Taylor. The one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kitty Moore.
What a play by Naheem Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. This is our post-game recap of the Indianapolis Colts preseason game against the Carolina Panthers. Colts come out victorious 21-18 in dramatic fashion to end the game. Matt, I mean, we talked about it off air. I know it's preseason, doesn't really matter at the end of the day too much, but I think you and I both agreed that, you know, getting a win like this, it still means a lot for these guys.
Absolutely. I mean, look, with how the quarterback started, you're seeing how they finished. This is that type of game, putting them in that type of situation where, you know, it's going to build up their confidence with, you know, obviously with Sam Ellinger, didn't start off the greatest, with him seeing how he can bounce back and get the win. That's obviously going to add a lot. You know, same with Eason, you know, with them starting slow, our receivers, you know, just especially when you have like Tyler Vaughns and Tyreek Black, you know, seeing how they finished, I think really does build the confidence. And Kafuzi, you know,
yeah, I know
nice.
Your boy. Yeah, your boy. He had the one big play today. That was great to see.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So before we get into the quarterbacks and everything, was there anyone specifically that stood out to you today? I mean, if you want to give like 2 or 3 players that really stood out to you on who really had a great play.
So I think it was Tyreek Black, that deep one-handed catch. That was obviously a huge play. You know, like for a second, if I was just listening and I heard, you know, just deep one-handed catch, I would have thought, oh, that's Michael Strawn. But no, you know, Tyreek Black, I think that is one guy that really, you know, surprised me. Desmond Patman had a great game too. Really did well when he was in the game. And Benny LeMay, you know, Benny LeMay caught me off guard. I didn't even know he was on the team.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I was wondering who the heck is this guy at first. And I mean, sure enough, gets the first taunting penalty of the NFL season. Yeah. I mean, that is so lame. Can we talk about that for a second? You just got done pulling that one dude 10 yards, and he finally gets you down, and you get up and said, "What's up?" And then you get a flag for that? Come on, bro. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't get it either with the NFL making that taunting rules. Just let the guys play.
Yeah, just let them play, dude. And Cameron Jordan, the defensive lineman for the Saints, already voicing his opinion about that, saying how this is a sorry-ass league for letting them do stuff like this. Like, I mean, sure, can't celebrate the fact that he just had a great play, and for a guy that, you know, probably may not even see the field at all this year, for his one time to get a chance to do that, and then you ruin it for him. Like, just unbelievable.
Yeah,
but
I'm actually getting a phone call real quick. I'll be right back.
Oh, good. Yeah, so basically, guys, I mean, we wanted to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks here. Very interesting to say the least. I mean, look at some of these numbers. Jacob Eason, 15 of 21 for 183 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 3 times today. Offensive line just absolutely atrocious for him in the first half, but nevertheless still had a good QB rating of a 98 basically. So very solid from Eason today. Sam Ellinger, 10 of 15 as well, 155 yards, and had an interception, but also had 30 yards rushing today to help make sure that the Colts got a couple first downs as well. I'll just say this. I'm not going to sit here and say who had the better day. Okay, they faced different circumstances. They didn't face the same defenses. They weren't playing with the same players. Things changed. Okay, not going to compare what they did. Compare their plays. I'm just going to say that I'm going to give them each a B- for today. a B- for the day because each of them had circumstances that they had to deal with that were out of their control and were making it difficult on them. And they both had to bounce back, and they both played very well today. And I mean, what more could you ask for from a bunch of different guys who, really did what they had to do to get into that frame of mind? So both of them, Eason having to deal with the pressure up front a lot. And then, all of this. So, Matt, I was basically talking, saying how I didn't really want to compare these two quarterbacks and their styles because, it was different circumstances and what they were having to deal with. But, what was your overall thought on both of these quarterbacks today?
I was happy with both overall. It did take Eason and Ellinger a little bit to get used to things. Ellinger had to go through a quarter of just kind of figuring out how to, get everything figured out. But I thought once the fourth quarter happened, Ellinger really did step up and played really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Eason, it took him a drive or two. And then especially that 2-minute, drive that he had, the 2-minute drill, he was great. I thought he was really good too.
Yeah, both guys in clutch situations had to come in and do something, and they both led great drives in doing that. So, again, both of these guys, it's just one of those things where, of course, Ellinger had third stringers he was playing with and playing against, and Eason had to deal with more of the first and second stringers, that sort of stuff. I get that. But ultimately, again, that's why I'm not comparing what they did against each other. I'm simply stating what I saw from them in the moments that they did it. Both of these guys played exceptionally well, made good throws, made one or two bad throws that cost them in the end. But nevertheless, both were making great throws. And can we just talk about these wide receivers for a second? Holy cow. Did these guys have a freaking clinic today? Michael Strawn, amazing catches.
Yes.
And the one that he had to start off that 2-minute drill where it was a 30-yard catch, that one was great. Desmond Patman doing what he did. Kylan Granson getting involved a little bit in the tight end group. And then you looked at the third stringers. Tariq Black making great catches. Tyler Vaughn with the left-handed catch on his helmet to get down to the 1-yard line. All of these guys really showing out today. It really makes it difficult now to think about who's going to be in the wide receiver room for all of this. It really is crazy.
Yeah. My little dog over there wanted to get on the stream too. That's what's freaking out.
It's all good.
But no, I absolutely loved what I saw from the receivers. It really makes me confident in just the whole entire receiving core in general, because obviously we know who our top 4 receivers are going to be this year with Pascal, Pittman, Campbell, and T.Y. But really after that, it's like, who's going to fit the bill? And it feels like Michael Strawn's probably going to make it. But, you still have Desmond Patman. Tyler Vaughn's was great in this game. I thought the Michael Harris was all right. Had the one catch. Courtney Davis was somebody who I wasn't really expecting to do much today, had a few catches. And then Tariq Black also played really good too. I think he had 86 yards or something like that.
He had 67, 3 catches 67. For 67. He led the team.
My bad. So I added 20 yards. But no, I thought they all were great though. So it's really going to be difficult once we have to figure out what receivers are going to fit the team, because it seems like at least one of those guys, if they don't make the team, are going to get picked up by another team. I don't think all of them are going to end up making the practice squad, because either they'll make our 53-man roster or some other team's going to swoop in and take them.
Yeah, it definitely makes it more difficult for them to decide who's going to stay on that roster or on the practice squad. Definitely makes it difficult, because when you had 2 undrafted free agents. 2 undrafted free agents being 2 of your top 4 receivers today. And Strawn, who was your 7th round draft pick, being one of the better ones. And then Patman, who was a 6th round draft pick last year, had a really solid outing today too. So I mean, it makes it difficult. You got all these late round guys or not even drafted guys at all, showing all this and rounding it out. I mean, at least it makes the Colts feel a lot better in regards to knowing they're going to be able to figure it out. But yeah, we talked a little bit about the running backs. Marlon Mack was in there, had a few good runs. Jordan Wilkins running angry as normal. Good to see that. And then we obviously saw LeMay have a few good runs. Anderson had some chances to run there. Jackson had a few runs at the very end as well. He got a touchdown. So, again, running backs, everybody getting involved here. But, I mean, the offensive line, oh, my gosh, just brutal with Eason. I mean, it was a little better for Ellinger. I mean, Ellinger was able to use his feet a little more to get away from the pressure a little bit better. But, my Lord, that offensive line was just atrocious for Eason.
It felt like almost every single time Eason went back to throw, he was going to get hit at some point. It's like he literally had no protection. It was very much like when Andrew Luck was here, when we had, some of the worst offensive lines in the league. That's kind of the thoughts I had. And I had to keep reminding myself, hey, these aren't the starters. It's going to be fine. It's not going to be this bad in the regular season, okay? Maybe for a little bit with left tackle. But when Eric Fisher comes back, it's going to be fine. Like we have Big Q coming
later. It's needed, dude, because holy cow, that was bad.
Yeah.
That was bad. I mean, it was really bad on the left side. And, when they switched things up where they had where they basically had Davenport on Davenport, people were saying was even worse than LaRaven Clark. I mean, a lot of people, it's hard to kind of say that, but, people were saying that. And, I mean, even the only person that was actually really relatively decent that from what I saw from the offensive line was Chris Reed, and Chris Reed was playing in a spot in which he wasn't normally supposed to be at. So, and, Joey Hunt was having issues with the snaps, was having issues with, with holdings and stuff like that. So, they had to do that. I mean, Fry's probably had himself a pretty good day. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at it and see the offensive line, but left tackle, certainly something that still needs to be figured out. But overall, offensive-wise, like from play calling to decision-making to execution, what would you rate the offense today?
So, because of the offensive line, that brings it down a peg for sure. I'd probably go, if I was going to rate it out of 10, like 7.5 to an 8. Somewhere in there. Offensive line really brought it down, but I think our receivers, we're set on receivers. Quarterbacks played well. Running backs also played real well. And Granson played really good too. But yeah, it's that offensive line. That's what really hurt it. And that's why I give it what I gave it.
Well, and I mean, the rushing would have been a lot better too had there not been like 3 or 4 runs where the guys were getting like 4-yard losses because they had nowhere to run afterwards. But either way, offense, did what they had to do. A couple different mistakes there. And, we obviously saw Eason and his inability to step up into the pocket early on. That'll obviously get looked at this week. The Colts are going to put emphasis on that. And then obviously Ellinger with early on, felt like he just needed to settle down. I think early on just had some jitters and just wasn't able to think properly. And then when he finally got it down, then he was able to do what he wanted. So, just working on the small stuff, that's fine. And I guess we can now look at the defense here. It's kind of the same old from before. I mean, not a lot of pressure per se when it came to, I think the Colts only had 1 sack today. Yes, they only had 1 sack, and that was Joey Ivy in the 4th quarter that had the 1 sack. Couple of different QB hits from Ivy and Rochelle, and then a couple from Kamoko Ture. So Ture did have a few pressures early, but I mean, in all credit, PJ Walker early on was getting rid of that ball pretty quickly. It wasn't like he was holding on to it very long. And I'll be honest, for the first and second stringers, outside of the one big play, the 2 big plays they really gave up. The Hubbard run, which went for 60 yards when it shouldn't have. Yeah. And then the one play that Walker got where TJ Carey just forgot that the guy was there. Outside of that, the defense looked really good today.
Yeah, I thought the defense did really well too. I liked what I saw from Joey Ivy. He's not a starter, but for somebody that can come off the bench for depth, I like what I saw from him. And Rochelle, I thought played real well too. Of course, and I seen Toure out there. Wish I would have saw a little more from Banagoo. That's something I wish I would have saw. Obviously, Kafuzi, was something I liked a lot. And then Matthew Adams was somebody who
best
really made me
defensive
happy
player
too.
on the roster today.
He had a real good day. I thought Marvell Tell, when he was out there, did pretty all right too. Had a couple deflections, but
I beg to differ on that
Adams.
one. I think there were a couple routes where he got burnt.
Yeah, but I mean, still, I thought he did all right. He definitely wasn't like as good as like Adams, but out of the other corners, he probably was better than a lot.
I mean, Rock only had like one or two chances to really do anything, but the one time that he did get contested against, he didn't give up a score. So I'd say Rock had overall the best day when you looked at it from the third corner spot. But yeah, Matt Adams, outside of the touchdown he gave up from Walker, outside of that, really was a great rock on that defense. Really had a lot of great plays.
Yeah.
Fuzzy Whistler, $2 super chat. Thank you. Preseason or not, comeback win is pretty sweet. That it definitely is. Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. And so, yeah, I mean, overall in the end zone, the red zone defense, that was really good to me today.
Yeah.
Obviously, besides the one play they gave up the touchdown with PJ Walker early on, outside of that, how many times the team got put on their side of the field to start the game out, but still found a way to reduce the amount of damage.
Yeah, I was really happy with that too. Because like you said, there's the PJ Walker play, but really besides that, they were pretty dominant when it came to the red zone defense, which is something you want to see because that could really come down to how well we do this year is, who's better at the red zone, defense too. Like, because I think, we'll get down to the red zone a lot once the regular season gets going. And I think our defense, it feels like they're that type of defense that is we'll play a little loose, but we're not going to let you, go all the way. So really does make me happy with how well they played for the most part in the red zone.
Yeah, I think the schematic wise of everything was good today. And, we're talking about Zaire Franklin put a pop on someone. Yeah, that was good. That nice. Second drive where he just ran right into that hole and knocked Hubbard down. I mean, that was a really nice pop. It was good to see Zaire Franklin do that. I didn't realize he was that dang fast. I didn't think he would.
I didn't know that either.
Play that way.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to be that fast. Like I knew he had a little bit of speed to him, but not as much as what he had.
Yeah. Yeah, the big plays are still a problem, but it's okay. Yeah, it's a good thing. I guarantee those two plays, those are the first two plays that the Colts are going to bring up in film room tomorrow that say, why did this happen? Why? That's what screws us over. That's what loses you games right there. You don't give up those two big plays, this game might not have even been close. I mean, really.
Yeah. They might be running laps because of those plays.
Yeah, they probably will. I hope they do.
Yeah, me too.
I hope they do. So obviously Colts come back from being down pretty much the whole game at that point, other than in the first quarter. There anyone else that really stuck out to you today outside of the few people we have mentioned?
Not really as far as like anybody else that we haven't mentioned yet. Everybody else played about as well as I thought they were going to, or they didn't play all that great. I'm just very curious to see how next game goes once we have Sam Ellinger starting, and that will definitely tell us, okay, who's the better quarterback for sure.
That's a good question. That's a good question that I kind of want to know is like, people wondering with the way Eason did play, is there any way that the Colts revert back on that decision and decide to just let Eason start? Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think they're going to stick with the fact that Ellinger deserves a chance with the number ones?
I wouldn't be against them doing that, I think it is definitely possible that they have Eason start from here on out until Wentz is back. But I still kind of want them to go with Sam Ellinger as the starter for next week. That way, they get a good idea of how he does when he goes up against ones and twos, and then see how Eason goes up against the same type of competition that Ellinger went up against today. And then that should give them the answer.
Yeah, I think that's right. I know a lot of people were saying, well, Eason showed enough to be the number ones. Well, I mean, if you're trying to have a competition where you're trying to figure out whether or not it's fair that Eason should be getting this treatment because we're saying he's facing the better competition on the rosters, then you need to put Ellinger into that fire and see if Ellinger comes out of it alive. If he doesn't, then Eason is actually the one who can handle that situation better than what Ellinger could. I mean, again, both quarterbacks played well today. They didn't face the same competition. Things like that happen. You just got to see where it goes from here.
Definitely. And then I would assume the Vikings are going to play more of their starters next week on defense too. So that really should give us a good idea by that point.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And, and that's the thing too, right here, that Ellinger has a lot of confidence. Yeah, I mean, that really did. I mean, it showed right away as soon as Ellinger started leading that drive down when his receivers started catching the ball with him. I mean, good Lord, he just was phenomenal and just had all the confidence in the world that whatever he was doing was working. I liked that about him.
I do too, because, I would assume there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks that would go in there. And if they make, if they throw an interception, then they're going to, kind of start to get sheltered and they're just not going to go out there and, really have that same confidence and, I guess swagger or whatever that you would see a lot of quarterbacks having. So seeing Ellinger go out there and really just let it, shake it off, get out there, not let it bother him was pretty nice.
Yeah, and then, the same thing here with Eason.
Yeah.
Fumbled, had a really bad first quarter, except for a few throws, and then was sacked multiple times.
Yeah.
It just didn't look like it was falling in together. And sure enough, Eason, in the moment that it mattered to say, we need to get this so we can come back after halftime and have a chance to win this, go and just starts throwing the ball the way we know he can. There were a lot of throws today where he had, and, there were a couple throws that his receivers dropped, but still never let it get to him. And he said, we're going to go get it next time. And he gained my respect too. I was impressed with both of the way these quarterbacks were able to respond.
Definitely. It's nice to have two guys as young as they are that can shake it off and bounce back real quick too. That was one thing when I was talking about Ellinger and Eason in a video in the past, I was like, look, it's going to be cool to see if they can bounce back from mistakes. And they were able to do that pretty well.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for this recap. Not much more to really discuss there. Kind of discussed all of it. I've just been getting this huge question on Jordan Wilkins. You want to continue to talk about him for a second before we head out?
Yeah, I like Jordan Wilkins. I don't think he's a starter for us or anything like that, but I think if you put him on any other roster besides maybe the Browns, he'd probably be the second running back, maybe the third on a few teams. But it's nice to have a running back that, maybe wouldn't start on a lot of teams, but that would be that running back number 2. It's really nice to have that as your fourth running back. And then also with what we've seen too, it's pretty nice with the other guys.
Eason's arm's great. The guy threw a 20-yard pass with a defender on his back. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I saw that. I mean, and that was also great too, was seeing the amount of touch that Eason had on some of his throws. That was the question mark was, when he threw, and it was ironic enough, that 35-yard pass he threw to Paris, that looked like it was nothing to him. He just lobbed it, and it was perfect. It just looked like it didn't hurt him to throw that ball at all.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he did that and he just yawned as he was throwing, like, whatever.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Either way, we're happy. Colts won. They're going to take this away. They're going to have some lessons to learn from it, but nonetheless, it was great to see the young guys going out there, getting the playing time and doing what was required of them. Great way to see it. but we'll let you guys settle in on it. We'll have more of a game recap tomorrow at some point to break down our thoughts of this whole game. But this is just the initial recap. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Thank you for watching us today. And as always, go Colts.